John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
The morning was going one way. Nick Sirianni struggles. Ben Simmons returning to town and his team and more. And then what did we get? Then we get this. Lane Johnson puts out a statement. I'd like to thank everyone for their understanding and support over the last 2 weeks. I appreciate the positive notes and messages as I've worked hard to restore my personal life. Depression and anxiety are things I've dealt with for a long time and have kept hidden from my friends and family. If you're reading this and struggling, please know that you are not alone. I'm excited to rejoin my teammates and coaches. I'm grateful for the entire Eagles community, and I look forward to continuing to play in front of the best fans in the world. Fly, Eagles, fly, Lane Johnson. And that's where the conversation really has just sort of spun into. We've had some mental health professionals that have joined us discussing this story and the idea that Lane Johnson comes out of has obviously been hiding something that he's been struggling with, and he's been carrying that burden by himself. And it obviously at some point, Bob, got to be too much. And he couldn't handle it.
Yeah, and good for him for recognizing it, because when you don't, or when you're afraid to recognize it, come out about it, that's when you have these tragic endings that we hear about all too often. And we know the famous people, Robin Williams, we know the famous people
Anthony
that dealt with it.
Bourdain
Anthony
recently.
Bourdain, yeah. And the end was obviously the worst it could be. And for all you out there that have had people or family members that have ended their lives because of these things and didn't get the help they needed, this is why it's so important for someone as famous as Lane Johnson to come out, so that people, everyday people like us that struggle, don't feel so bad about it or insecure about it. You're a person, you need help. All of us do. At some point, all of us needs help.
Every single person feels desperate.
Yeah, and hopefully society is starting to make that turn towards not casting judgment on someone that needs help.
Steven sends an email in, and he says, I also am a mental health professional. Listen to the show every day. I think what you guys are talking about today is extremely valuable. We can get back to bashing Nick Sirianni tomorrow. I'm all for it. He said, but one thing is, he said, John, I think is the disconnect with a lot of people. You can feel sad and not be depressed.
Yeah.
He said, when you told the story about you with your wife and daughter not being with you and you have sad moments, you have a switch that turns off and allows you to get back to business. Some people never can flip the switch, and they carry it with them 24/7.
Sure.
I honestly, I can't imagine feeling, when I have my, woe is me moments, like I'm all alone, my wife and daughter aren't here, I feel that I can't imagine if I couldn't turn it off. I can't imagine how I would function.
Well,
you know what I mean? That's what he's saying.
Was not Regina. Whoever just called up. I'm sorry, I forget her name already. She said 20% of people. I mean, that's
a lot of people.
Staggering. Just think about that as you go throughout the course of your day. Every 5 people you come across, one of them is probably going through something that they're not showing or wearing on them, that they have to battle every single day. And that's, I truly, my heart goes out to those people, because that's not only physically exhausting, it's mentally exhausting. And I feel very fortunate that I personally don't have to go through that. But if I have friends and family, I hope it's something where they feel comfortable they can come to me at any given time, and we can help and have these conversations, because step one is normalizing it.
Yeah, Coach actually brought up Brian Dawkins was another guy that
Sure,
that
we talked about it,
suffered
yes.
it. And he's like, the toughest guy to ever play for the Eagles right there. And it's something I think about often that Jamie just talked about, that how lucky I am that I don't suffer through it like the way these guys do. Have your spouts here and there of sadness.
Correct.
But it's not to the point where it's debilitating. And anytime a situation like this pops up with a pro athlete, because, since we're in sports, obviously, that's where our mind usually is. And when these pop up, it makes me realize how lucky I am that I'm fortunate.
It says it. It's amazing here, though, that as Steven says, that one of the other points out, he goes, and I want to point out, he said it is not calculated. Mental illness is not calculated. It is something that overtakes your life. He says it's not something that you plan. It's not something that you stage or manipulate. He said, I think that now there will be others who maybe try to use this. He says it is not a part of a calculated campaign. It is something that has controlled your life. And many times people like a Lane Johnson can hide it and still manage to function. Yeah. It's a scary thing.
I mean, it's not something you can see. It's not something you can easily rehab. It's not known. It just weighs on you as this unseen thing.
I got to ask something of Vincent on our YouTube chat. He said it's amazing how this radio show vilified Naomi Osaka or Simone Biles.
I don't think we ever did that.
What?
We're
totally on the side of understanding of what they were going through.
We didn't do anything of the sort.
Yeah, I don't recall that at all.
What in the hell is he talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Amazing how this, unless I read it wrong or it was typed wrong.
Is that Vince, our friend Vince?
Amazing how this radio show vilified Naomi Osaka or Simone Biles.
That didn't happen.
In fact, it never happened. What in the hell are you talking about?
I mean, people confuse shows with other shows all the time. Maybe that helps.
I think our show's a little unique, especially with our own YouTube community.
Yeah, I would think. I don't know.
Because that's a load of crap.
I'm sure somebody said it, but it wasn't us.
Oh, my God. Anthony in Woodbury joins us. Anthony, you're on the Fanatic. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I love listening to you guys' show.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
And I'm a little nervous right now, so hopefully you don't sound stupid. But I have anxiety, and I wanted to really shed some light on my experience personally. I've been dealing with it for the past probably 10 years, and I'm trying not to get too emotional either. But for me, I have panic attacks, and it is something I'm going through currently. In fact, this last Friday, I was at the hospital. So for me, it feels like a heart attack. And it almost, if this makes any sense, it feels different each time because it kind of tricks your brain. So like, if you feel like a chest pain or tingling and stuff, if you feel the same way every time, it could be like, all right, cool, I've been through this before. But for me, it tricks me where it comes on more intense to be like, okay, this is it. Like, this is a heart attack. This is definitely happening. And for me, it can happen. Tingling in the arm, chest pain.
Anthony, can you tell us? Can you tell us what? Can you without if it's too personal? No, but what happened Friday that you said you ended up like? Was it just a normal Friday, and something happened?
Yeah. So for me, there's no triggers. So I could be chilling in my house, watching TV, playing video games, and it can happen. I could be out with friends, hanging out. It can happen. Wow. I could be actually at work, and it happened, which. Before it happened a couple of times where I'm at work and I had taken it out in the ambulance at work. And a lot of people don't understand it because people on the outside looking in is like, listen, Anthony, you know you're not having a heart attack because your doctor said it's a very low chance you have a heart attack. So for me right now, I can say, all right, I know that I'm not going to have a heart attack. It's a very low chance of me having a heart attack. But when I'm in the middle of a panic attack, there's no telling me. I'm like,
that is incredible.
Like, this feels so real, and this is it. And I feel, just to share real quick, the first time that I really had a really bad one, I felt bad because I was with my mom, and she's my person. That's the person I call when I have one. She's the one that calms me down. And the first time I had a major one, I accidentally, kind of knocked her down because I was holding her. I was like, well, I don't know what's going on. Like, please help me. And I knocked her down, and I felt so bad. I usually feel like that. I feel so bad afterwards. It's like I don't have control, and then I have a couple of, I've been dealing with depression too, so that's kind of like a byproduct. I feel like a lot of depression.
I hope this show and this station bring you some joy on a daily basis.
Yeah, it does. Honestly.
Is it a distraction more than anything?
Yeah, it's a good distraction. I'm happy you guys talk about it. It really helps me to just listen about other experiences, and especially with Lane Johnson, which I kind of speculated anyway that he might have been going through that anyway. So I didn't want to talk. I didn't like when people were living. My friends was like, "Oh, what's going on with Lane? Like, he's messing up." But I figured it was something like that. So I'm just happy that you're talking about it. It might be helping people, helping me out a lot.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Anthony.
Good luck,
yeah, thanks for sharing.
It's just interesting to there's no rhyme or reason. No. That's the thing that makes it such a hard thing to put a handle on.
It's an invisible monster. It's just always waiting there for people. Yeah. That's what people say is like, I never know when it's coming. I never know.
Like it's just a normal Friday for him. He could be playing video games or he could be at work.
Yeah, the brain is a wild place.
Yeah, it's look, people might say, what the hell's a sports talk show talking about this for? But it's an everyday life thing. Sports is an escape that we hope it is. And now when we see guys that do sports and women who do sports for a profession, and it's affecting them also, it just shows the reality of it all. And there's nobody that's immune to any of this. None of it. There's stories that we have in our lives, and our listeners, people that are here every day, we know each other to say, oh, Nick Sirianni needs to be better. We don't know anything about each other as far as dealing with this stuff, and we all do. And
yes,
that's the humanizing thing of it all.
George in Richmond joins us on the Fanatic. George, what's going on, brother?
Hey, guys. First-time caller, long-time listener. I just felt compelled to give a call today about the anxiety and to kind of describe how it feels to someone who has it pretty much on a daily basis. You always tell yourself to think about all the great things in life and, don't dwell on the little things because we all have troubles in our lives. And I tell myself that all the time. But the best way to describe anxiety, I guess, would be it kind of feels like you're climbing out of a hole of sand and you can't quite get to the top. When you talk about, you have days where you feel down, I think it's the opposite for people with anxiety, where they have days where they might actually be able to breathe a little bit, or moments where they can breathe a little bit. But it's very tough. It's a tough thing to have to deal with. It's not fun, and I'm proud of Lane. And, thank you guys for highlighting this topic today, and appreciate everything y'all are doing.
There you go, buddy. Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks
for sharing, George.
That is part of it.
Yeah.
That is, it is different for every single situation.
Sure. I mean, some people might just have as a kid, I'll be honest, not that I ever sought help or it really weighed on me, but having alopecia as a kid, I had a form of social anxiety because every room I walked into I was physically seen differently than everyone else. And, emotionally that takes a toll on you. But luckily it's something, a tremendous support system and family I was able to overcome, because as a kid, you don't know how to handle that. As an adult, it's a little different. But some people might just have a social anxiety where it's something manageable that they can go on and do every day. Other people might have a more crippling anxiety that's, just hits you like our buddy just said there, sitting at home Friday night on your couch alone, and it could just take you over. There's so many different varying levels of this. It's crazy. And when you think about that, it's no wonder 20% of people are affected, because there's so much variety. There's extremism, and then there's, just your everyday, I have anxiety because my to-do list, and it consumes you. And, there's so many different levels of it. It's crazy.
Well, if it doesn't allow you to do your job.
Sure.
You remember, it's weird because I'm able to go back and look at our notes when we talked about Naomi Osaka. I was like, what did I say? I actually did things on it, saying that if you can't do your job, I said she should withdraw.
Yeah, Simone Biles, physically...
She should withdraw.
She's doing a very dangerous thing, and if her body isn't physically responding because her mind is somewhere else, she could harm herself. So it was the right thing for her to do.
But part of the job, though, is you withdraw from the tournament, which is exactly what I said. And I'm reading here exactly what I said. You don't play the tournament and say, well, I'm not going to do any media obligations, because every player can then say, I'm not doing any media obligations. It's not being done. Then every player can say they don't meet the media obligations. Step away until you're okay, until you get the help to deal with it. And now, Naomi Osaka's gotten help to deal with it.
Yeah.
How to deal with going to press conferences. How to deal with being in front of a room of people that she perceives picking at her. Like picking at her, trying to put her in a bad light or portraying her in a bad light. That now she's gotten help with it. And in fact, there was a piece in July I'm reading from Time where she talks about getting help with that. So be able to deal with it. I think that's what you do. You step aside. Lane Johnson stepped aside from his job.
Sure.
Get help, and then get on with it.
Yeah.
And figure out, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to function? Because for everyone, it seems like it manifests a little bit differently.
Yeah, and the thing you have to overcome is the ignorance. Like the fact that we're talking about this, that people are coming out and letting us know their stories. That gets you over the ignorance. That makes you learn that, wow, my idea on all this may have been wrong. And God forbid, not God forbid, but thankfully may help you in something that you're dealing with. Look, Jamie brought up the alopecia. I have a son with autism. When Tommy was diagnosed with autism, nobody knew what it was. Like, it was weird.
Well, back then, it was not even,
full
it was
disclosure
hardly
age
being
here.
talked about, right?
Tommy's 25 years old now. Yeah, it wasn't. And so to overcome what society's perception of what's wrong with your child, our goal right away, mine and Don's, was to teach people about it. Like, obviously, we had our own things that we had to do with him, but it was also like, let's get rid of the ignorance. And there's probably many more people out there that are dealing with what you're dealing with or whatever. Getting through the ignorance, learning about what is what, learning about what Lane Johnson's going through and the other athletes and people that we've talked to today. If you can get over the ignorance and learn something about it, it just makes you better society. It helps the person that's dealing with it, and it helps you in case it ever happens to you.
Well, the big key is, too, Jamie, is that ignorance doesn't have to be a bad word. Ignorance can be you're just oblivious. Like, you're just oblivious to understanding because you can't relate. Like, I can't imagine. I wake up the same way, and I guess it's a blessing when I think of it, but I also think it's a bit of a curse. I wake up the same way every day. And I need my routines, as you all know, working with me. Like, I need my routines. When my routines are disrupted, I'm not happy.
We haven't noticed.
But I wake up the same day. Wake up the exact same way, the exact same day. So, I mean, it is just, and that is I can't imagine if every day was putting your feet on the ground and having to deal with this.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. I mean, to think about that, again, I remind myself constantly how lucky and fortunate I am as somebody that doesn't have to, but I've seen it firsthand. I know people that have gone through it, and when you know people that have gone through it and you've seen it, it makes you more fortunate or more, feeling fortunate and blessed that you don't have to, because it's something that you would wish on no one.
Luis in Cherry Hill joins us on the Fanatic. Luis, how are you?
Yes, hello. How are you guys?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Today, it's pretty much the first time I've ever called. This is pretty, not pretty scary to me, but this topic, it hits really, really hard with me because I've had anxiety for a couple years now, and seeing someone come out like that, it really it's like a comforting, knowing that someone else is going through it. But
do your friends and family know you go through it?
Yeah, they're the reason that I try to stay hard every day in the fight, but it's really David, good knowing that other people are no.
Yeah, you're not alone, buddy.
You're not alone. You're with us, Luis. Hopefully, a little bit of spending time with us puts a smile on your face a little bit, right?
Oh no, yeah. I listen to the show every day. Like, it's like religion to me,
I appreciate that.
And you live in a great town.
Yeah, you live in Bobstown.
Yeah, I know. I always hear about
Wow, don't sound so upset that we live in the same town.
No, it's a great topic, and it's really, really good. But thank you very much, guys. Okay.
Yeah, have a great day,
Good job, Luis. Take
Thanks
care of
for
yourself,
sharing,
man.
buddy.
Okay, Luis got me choked up.
Yeah, I mean, just to hear him and that passion of seeing somebody that they look up to and they, watch for 4 hours, and Lane Johnson's perceived as this enormous, strong country guy that goes out and plays right tackle with a collapsed right ankle. To see him admit to these struggles is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, that was
That Luis got me choked up.
Yeah, I don't really know how to follow that.
I don't know how to follow it either.
But look at how much that meant to him.
Yeah, but that right there, right? Like, I'm sure Luis is aware of other famous people that have dealt with it, but he watches Lane Johnson. I think it's everything that Jamie talked about. This is a tough what, and he comes out and says, I'm dealing with it, and that gives the strength for Luis to make a phone call today that he'd never made before to us to tell us how much it meant to him. I mean, it's
pretty powerful.
Yeah, it is.
It's but you talk about it, Pat, as a smart audience. That's a thoughtful audience. That is, because people willing to share with somebody else to help educate them, to help make them feel, is a big deal.
It's huge.
Because it sort of is a way of sort of reaching out.
Sure.
Like a lifeline to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not what Lane was trying to do.
No,
but
I
Lane,
think
it probably got to the point where Lane couldn't do his job.
Probably.
And he said, I can't do it. And I got to step aside.
Yeah.
And I got to get this worked out.
That's stronger to me than bowling over any 350-pounder that's standing in front of him.
And he missed 3 games, and no one in this town for the most part, gave a damn.
Imagine that. I mean, just think about
this nasty town that is so hard.
Just, people always say, oh, I wish the Phillies fans would get better. Look at how much we've evolved over the last 15, 20 years.
It's incredible.
If somebody came out on the early 90s Eagles team and said they were dealing with this.
And was missing games.
people would have been ruthless.
I can't wait to hear Lane Johnson getting announced. First
Oh my
home game
God.
back.
Yeah.
The John Kincade Show on 97.5 The